All right, welcome back. This is 3.4, kind of part 2. And if you struggled with part 1, don't feel bad, okay? Don't feel bad. Proof is one of the most complicated things that mathematicians do. And it's you have to think very, very hard about the information you're giving and what it means and how it can be used. And it's very, very difficult to kind of do that. This is the first time that many of you have done something like this. And you must also think kind of what are you trying to prove, and then what does the path look like from what you're given, and then plus your knowledge. How do you kind of combine that and then prove? So then these would be your steps to what you're trying to prove. Okay, so I mean it's not an easy thing, and it's putting together a mathematical logical argument, which is something that you haven't been asked to do formally yet, or in your time. So I mean it's definitely a new challenge. It's definitely a new challenge. So let's take a quick word and look at the proofs here. So let's just take a quick minute and at least do this first one. So you start with the given statements. Angle K congruent to angle N given. Okay, and then you say all of your given statements, JK, MN, given. And your last statement, KL, congruent to NO, 3, given. Okay, so just by looking at this, I'm hoping that you recognize that you have sides. And I don't know if they meant to do this or not, but they kind of mark that all 4 of these are congruent. And the information actually does not tell you that. The information tells you like these 2 are congruent and then these 2 are congruent, but it doesn't necessarily say that all 4 are congruent to each other. So it's a subtle difference. It's a subtle difference. So I'm hoping that you recognize that you have 2 pairs of sides, and then you have 1 pair of angles that are all given to you. And the pair of angles, that's included between the 2 sides. Okay, that's included between the 2 sets of sides. So that is enough to tell me, yeah, JKL congruent to MNO, and that's going to be just side angle side. That's it. Okay, so if this was difficult for you, then you might need to go back and watch 3.4 part 1 again, or do a few more proofs until you kind of get comfortable noticing some of those things. Okay, so if this was difficult for you, then you need to go back and review some of those concepts, because this is going to be very difficult for you if you don't. So this one, a little bit more complicated, a few more steps, not infinitely more complicated, but a few more steps to this one. So you're given Kn bisects Jm, given Jk Mn, given. Okay, so now let's look and see what we got. So Kn bisects Jm. So then, hold on, let's mark, okay, Jk is parallel to Mn. Okay, and let's see what we can kind of come up with from there. So Kn bisects Jm. Okay, so Jm is the one getting cut in half here. So it bisects. So remember what it means to bisect. It means cut in half. So I'm going to say, you know what, JL is congruent to ML. I'm going to say those 2 are congruent. Why? Well, that's just definition of bisector. That's just definition of bisector. Okay, so those 2 are equal. Okay, so I've got 1 pair of sides. Okay, and it took me a little while it took me a step to get there, but that's not bad. So let's see what else I got. I'm hoping that you noticed, hey, you know what? These are vertical. Vertical angles come in very, very useful here. So I can say like, hey, KLJ congruent to NLM. And that's going to be, just vertical angles are congruent. Vertical angles are, and I'll just use this symbol for congruent. So the last thing I'm going to use is the fact that these are parallel, okay? That the JK and MN are parallel. So I just want to kind of sketch that picture, okay? So if this is K. So KJ, we'll call this M, call this N. So then if I consider, okay, so like J to M. Okay, if I can kind of imagine that line keep going, imagine this keep going, imagine this keep going. Okay, these are parallel. Okay, so I would argue that this one and this one, this angle here and this angle here, which translates to this angle and this angle, would be alternate interior angles. So that's what I would say. I would say, hey, angle J congruent to angle M, and that would be, they are alternate interior angles. So once I do that, then I have still have my one pair of sides, and I have two pairs of angles. And that would be enough to say, yes, JKL congruent to MNL by angle side angle postulate. That would be my answer. Okay, now 6 steps, I kind of drew it out. That's probably a little bit longer than some of the ones you may be seeing, but it's not a bad idea to write down more of my ideas, more of my thoughts. Okay, so now we have a new piece to add. So now here's what I want you to take note of. I'm no longer trying to prove that the two triangles are congruent. If you notice down here in the proof, proving my triangle's congruent is one step above what I'm trying to prove. Okay, what we use this idea, okay, and then let's just walk through the proof and we'll see kind of where we land. So AC is congruent to AR, that is given. My second given statement, angle 1 congruent to angle 2. Okay. My next statement says CAL congruent to RAS, angle. So CAL is here, RAS is here. Why are those congruent? Well, they're vertical angles. Those are just vertical angles. So vertical angles are congruent. So now, based on that information, okay, I can say, yeah, those two, my two triangles are going to be congruent by angle, side. Okay, that's why that works. So now my final piece here, my angle 3 congruent to angle 4. Notice, I didn't use angle 3 and angle 4. I didn't use those two to help me prove the triangle's congruent. Okay, they were not involved in steps 1 through 4. Okay, I didn't use those pieces. Okay, I used angle 1 and 2. I used the vertical angles, and I used the sides they gave me. So now that I've proven my triangle's congruent, now I can go back and say, yes, angle 3 is congruent to angle 4 by something called CPCTC. Okay, CPCTC. Every other letter is a C, and here's what that stands for. Corresponding I could spell correctly, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. So what does this say? It says corresponding parts, so parts, same location. Same location. We've done some corresponding stuff towards the beginning of this unit, so same location. Corresponding parts. So parts means either sides or angles, okay, of congruent triangles. So we've said we've shown that the triangles are congruent. Okay, we've shown that the triangles are congruent. Now we're saying, hey, those pieces are also congruent. So we prove our triangle congruent, and then we go back and we say, yeah, some of the pieces I didn't use, those pieces are still congruent as well. Okay, so this is what I use, CPCTC, 5 letters. Okay, so here kind of written as, here it is kind of written a different way. So the same location, angles and sides of congruent triangles are congruent. So if 2 triangles are congruent to each other, all their pieces are congruent as well. Okay, so now take a look. Big clue. What's my proof statement? It's no longer triangle and triangle. Now it's something else. Okay, now it's something else. So we look at SH congruent to PE. And we look at angle, I can rewrite it that way, same thing. Angle P congruent to angle S given. And we can kind of mark those. SH and S and P. A big clue they give you in the picture is that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because they are vertical. So I can say vertical angles. So now I can say, you know what? I can say triangle SAH is congruent to triangle PAE by angle side postulate. Okay? I would go angle side. So this angle to this angle to this side, this angle to this angle to this side. So now I'm not done. I'm not done. Remember, I'm done when I'm actually proving what they're asking me to prove. So now I got to say, you know what? SA is congruent to PA. And I can say that after I've written down that the triangles are congruent. That's what I can look at. So I have to prove the triangle's congruent first. Only then can I use CPCTC. So now this is where we kind of get working and we kind of prove what we need to prove. So you need to work on 3.4 and 3.4 part 2. I think they're 1 assignment in quizzes. Okay, so it's looking for specific steps. Okay, so take your time, think some of these things out, and I will talk to you later.